at the University of Louisville and the Gaines Hall and Rausch Planetarium. I'd like to invite you, and I shouldn't say invite you, I'd like to welcome you to the 10th annual Bullitt Lecture in Astronomy. This lecture series was founded by the grandson of William Marshall Bullitt, who was a prominent lawyer in Louisville. He got his law degree from the University of Louisville, and he was the 14th Solicitor General of the United States, and over his career argued more than 50 cases before the U.S. Supreme Court. He also was very active in local politics and civic organizations here in Louisville. Now you might say it's very strange to have an astronomy lecture for a lawyer. But William Marshall Bullitt had many interests. And one of the things that he really was inspired by was the study of mathematics and astronomy. He collected perhaps the finest privately held collection of first edition texts and books in astronomy and mathematics, including works by Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, Gauss, Euler, etc. On his death, his family donated this collection to the University of Louisville, where it is now housed in the university library in the archives. And this is a wonderful resource, not just for the university, not just for the city of Louisville, but for the entire country, as it is, in many cases, the only examples in the United States of these books. And scholars from all over the country will come here to study them. 10 years ago, the grandson of William Marshall Bullitt started this lecture series. He has donated the money to allow us to continue with this, and in addition has funded several other things that benefit students and faculty here at the university. He has continued the acquisitions of books for the Bullitt collection, but in addition has done two remarkable things. He has endowed a scholarship fund for students in the Department of Physics and Astronomy who have an interest in advancing careers in astronomy. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Mr. Lowry Watkins to present to this year's Bullitt Scholarship winners their awards. Here, these are the two. Would Ms. Shannon McKenzie please come up? Shannon is a junior in our department, and she is being recognized for her work both in courses and her research work at UCLA this last summer. In addition, we have Mr. Mark Capis. Mark is a dual major in physics and chemistry with an interest in astrobiology, and he's doing his senior thesis in, you told me and I can't remember now. I'm sorry, Mark?
Nuclear magnetic resonant theory.
Okay, thank you. Okay. In addition, this year we have a new award, which is an award for the best publication in astronomy or astrophysics over the last year by a student in the Department of Physics and Astronomy. And for this first award, I'd like to introduce Mr. Joe Burchett, who has been working on a public outreach program funded by NASA to combine helioseismology with music for public outreach. And once again, we of the Department of Physics and Astronomy would very much like to thank Mr. Lowry Watkins for his continued support of not just this lecture, but of our students. Thank you, Larry. Okay. Tonight, we are very privileged to have with us Professor Donald York of the University of Chicago. Professor York was born in Illinois and then moved to Terre Haute, Indiana, where he completed his high school education. He then went on to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology for his undergraduate degree in physics, and then went to the University of Chicago, where he received his PhD in astronomy and astrophysics for work that he did with the 2007 Bullitt lecturer, Robert Odell. Don then proceeded from the University of Chicago to Princeton University, where he worked with Professor Lyman Spitzer on the Copernicus space satellite. During this time, he made fundamental contributions to astronomy and to our understanding of the Big Bang by measuring the abundance of deuterium in the galaxy. And deuterium is an element produced in the Big Bang. And this put quite tight constraints on Big Bang models. In addition, he did fundamental work on other parts of the interstellar medium, including the abundance of many elements and the existence of very hot gas between the stars. In 1982, he left Princeton University to return to the University of Chicago, where, amongst other things, he worked to build the Apache Point 3.5 meter and Sloan Digital Sky Survey 2.5 meter telescopes. In particular, the Sloan Digital Sky Survey telescope has enabled astronomers to fundamentally change their view of the universe. And Professor York was the founding director of both of these projects. He also has been very active in the support of school students in Chicago, both through working during the summer to help teachers learn more physics, more astronomy, and lab skills, and through providing internet connections to local public schools, as well as resources for the students and teachers. So tonight, we are very deeply honored to have with us Professor Donald York of the University of Chicago.
Is this 1 hour? Nobody ever said. Thank you, Jim. Jim and I used to conspire. Our goal was to take non-science majors in the astronomy course that he and I worked in and get them to realize that math wasn't that hard and come back into physics and astronomy. And we succeeded in a few cases. This is not in any sense my field. I'm not a scholar in this field, but I have used telescopes all my life. I've worked on a few, and on the occasion of the anniversary of the 400th, on occasion of the 400th anniversary of the discovery of the telescope in 1608, I ran a meeting in Beijing, China, which was an international meeting, many people there, on the history of the telescope and on its impact on society, which is really my main interest in this topic. So in 2008 and on through 2009, when Galileo made started to use telescopes and make his discoveries, and on into 2010, has been an international cell